Hi, everybody. Bruce Shooter here with the Mental Health Warrior Program podcast, No Surrender. Now, this is exciting because we're going to talk about the Mental Health Warrior today, and bear with me in case you're just listening to the audio only part. There is the video part, which is also on our YouTube channel. Now, if you're seeing the video, and I'll describe it for everyone else, you're going to see a guy who looks like he hasn't shaved in some days. And you're going to see a guy who's having a bad hair day. Yes, guys have bad hair days. And you're going to look at a guy who this morning, well, we have some pets, and they left us a little present that I stepped in as I'm wandering around in my socks. Fantastic. Bruce, what does that have to do with anything, you're asking? Where are we going with this? Well, today, I want to give you the secret on how to handle your big mental health challenges. How do I build the strength and a foundation to handle things like bipolar disorder, alcoholism, anxiety disorders, PTSD from some of my experiences as an EMT? How do I handle those really tough, putting my hands over my head type challenges? Well, here's the secret. As a mental health warrior, the secret is to build a foundation by handling all the small challenges. So I wanted to bring up those little challenges and kind of make a joke about it and kind of have a little fun with it, but kind of explain to you that everything that came up and challenged me this morning, or these things that are occurring, well, let's see if we can spin them around. So let's just go through, because these are just some things that happened to me in just the last 24 hours. And one of the things was, like I said, I went to shave this morning after a nice weekend, and guess what? The razor broke. Now, maybe I forgot to recharge it. It is electric, but no, the blade stopped working. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't keep a bunch of spares, and I don't even have the old manual. So that didn't start things off well. We got a problem right there. Second thing is, and this is where we get a little funny, because humor's a good mental health tool, and having a bad hair day. Because again, I went to get a haircut appointment yesterday during the weekend. Perfect planning, got everything planned, I'm going to handle it. And they had a problem at the shop. It closed down. Don't know if the air conditioning broke or the heat broke or whichever their case. Point was, couldn't work even though I did my part. So now my hair's a mess. And again, we're going to joke about it because yes, guys can have bad hair days. And yes, I really wanted to get a haircut. Another small challenge I had to face up to as a mental health warrior. Now the third one, as I mentioned, if you have a pet, we have a couple cats. And they're great. And most of the times we remember and we keep the litter boxes very clean and they're fine. But whatever reason, they found dissatisfaction with their litter boxes. So they left me a little present on the floor near the kitchen as I patted down there in the morning with no lights on and stepped in it. So you can imagine that's not good. And it's funny because you're probably thinking at this point, what are we going to talk about handling big mental health challenges? And we are. But what I have found in the number of years I've been a warrior and part of this program is that a solid foundation of handling all of these small things, maybe it's over months, years, even just a few weeks of handling some of the challenges, that will build you an extremely strong base from which you will gain more power and can handle the tougher challenges. So in this case, we have three things that we've talked about that have gone wrong. And while they may be small individually, they're starting to pile up in my head. And they're starting to pile up as I'm struggling every time I turn around. It would be very easy to listen to bipolar and say, sending me into depression, I'm going to just stick in depression. It would be easy to say, anxiety-wise, wow, if I can't handle these things, how am I going to handle my big challenges? Or, of course, in worst case scenario, these things pile up and I choose to go back to that short-term solution of drinking to hide from, again, my emotions. But today, we're going to do none of that. And today, on this podcast, we're going to kind of explore how we build that strong mental health warrior foundation. So, one of the first things we have to remember is we are building a base. So again, we've talked about before that while there will be challenges all the time, and while these challenges, if you have a chronic condition, will not go away, we have to remember to treat them and take care of each one rather than ignoring them or pretending we can just sidestep them and ignore them. So that's the first challenge I'm going to throw out there is next time you have some of these small missteps, small challenges that pop up, is take the time as a mental health warrior to make sure you process them, to make sure you understand, one, it's not really your fault. Life's going to throw you challenges. Two, it's just things happen. They break other places. They couldn't see me for the haircut, as I mentioned. I know we're dealing with three kind of funny examples, but I wanted to use three funny ones because it shows you that even though they're funny and hilarious to us talking today, that's because I moved past them. But if we didn't, that would be three notches plus some of the other struggles just in the last couple of days that happened that I haven't even talked about because there were more. And what I wanted to tell you about then was those three came up, but I also then went to go get some groceries and there was something on sale. And I was all planned out again with my list. I'm going to pick that grocery up while we're out getting coffee. This is going to be a wonderful example of how organized and how I'm on top of things. Sure enough, had my soda, went to go to the store, and they're out. They sold out. Apparently, I went at the wrong time. Now, again, a kind of funny example, and you think by itself, boy, I sure hope that wouldn't take me down. But now we're up to 4 challenges that have added up. Well, you know what? At this point, these challenges start to encroach on the territory of major problems. Because now we add that into a couple other things that happen around the house or during the day, or things that didn't go quite right, and which I could go on with. And all of a sudden we realize we have that giant boulder rolling at us that might flatten us and put us back at square zero in this case. Not a good thing at all. So one of the things we're going to do is, as a mental health warrior, we're going to do the first step, like I told you, and manage each of the challenges that come up and accept the emotions, process through them, and you're going to actually work and use one of the tools or one of the steps of a warrior, of which there's many, and we won't go into each one, but let's just say at this point, we're going to agree, we're going to take charge and take care of those challenges. Now, I mentioned that this has kind of a ulterior purpose. What I mean by that is every time we take care of a little challenge, we are actually building a very strong foundation. And this is something you have to think about just for a few minutes, because it seems like things like Bruce's haircut certainly doesn't seem important, or maybe a little present from your pets doesn't seem important. But guess what? As you handle each one of those, they go into this foundation of a series of, if you will, let's use an analogy of you're building, that strong foundation. So each one's a brick. And those bricks start adding up because you handled those ones and you didn't fall apart. And then the next one came up. Like I said, I handled the first 3. Now I went to the store. They're out of stuff. Well, again, not the end of the world. I can go back later. And again, I was pre-planning. So in this case, we still have plenty of food at home. Again, you can see I added another brick to the foundation. And this is what's kind of neat, and a sneaky kind of excitement starts to creep in, because I do this a lot. A lot of times my head likes to take me, my mind likes to take me for a little ride. Now, part of it's due to bipolar. It sends you all different ways on the ends of the spectrum of emotions for no necessary reason. Sometimes it just throws you into depression right after you just achieve something. If you have this disorder, or you've seen depression, or felt depression, I should say, in yourself, you know sometimes it just comes up, and yet it doesn't make any sense. Well, knowing that fact, I also know the fact that in the last 2 weeks, I handled 47 small little challenges like I'm talking about. Now, actually, I really did go and count, because I jotted them on a piece of paper this morning when I was talking about this and all these small challenges that came up. And I started to say, I wonder how many in the last week I could write down and see that I've accomplished, see that I've gotten through, I've fixed, or found a solution to. I came up, to my surprise, with 47 of them, just small ones off the top of my head of little challenges that came up in just the last 2 weeks. And I was amazed, of course, one, at the number of challenges, but what I was really amazed with was the number 47 and the fact that I today have triumphed over 47 challenges. Now, I'm going to tell you that, and the reason it's so amazing is because before, I couldn't go a day without something either causing me such anxiety that, again, I might turn to drinking to drown that out. Or I would be stuck in such depression that I wouldn't know how to function. I just wouldn't know what to do. I might, again, check out for the day, maybe didn't drink, but certainly didn't enjoy the day, certainly didn't get anything done. Now, that's extreme when I was completely giving control of all my challenges. But today and this morning, when I was putting this together, I compared that to Bruce handling 47 challenges and triumphing over every one of them. Not one of them broke me as a mental health warrior. I messed up there. I can't say it real fast, but again, I stayed true. See, I mean, another one, guess we'll have to add and make that 48 in the last 2 weeks. And of course, it has to be on video. But the great part is 48 now challenges. I have stayed true to being a warrior, which you can do. I have used the warrior tools to handle these. And again, the actual tools and things like that, we're not going to go into every one because I would certainly overwhelm you. But we're going to stay true that we used the warrior creed of bend, not break, to keep us centered. And then we use some of our tools from our warrior arsenal, a variety of the mindset rules and mental health tools that I've developed to meet the emotions on each of those challenges and then allow me to take the steps to triumph over them. So that is really fantastic achievement. And a lot of times, I think this is neat, and I had done it kind of just jokingly with myself to see how many challenges. But I'm going to ask you to do the same, because if you're working on triumphing over your challenges and you're listening to this video right now, you're probably in the middle of starting, or maybe along the journey of starting to take back control, be a mental health warrior, and triumph over those challenges as they come up one by one. So a great tool that you can do is to take a piece of paper, take your phone, jot them down. Because I think you'll be amazed at how many you've achieved, and pick a time. Say the last week. Say the last 2 days if it's a weekend, because a lot of stuff happens on weekends. And look at what you've achieved. And when you do, remember to see the base you're building of what you can handle today. And again, even if you're still struggling with them, it shows you're working on them, which is how we will triumph over them, by not surrendering. So you can see we're weaving in a lot of the components of the warrior, which always happens. And I'm telling you that because the warrior program is not about quick fixes. It's a self-help and self-empowerment program. But what that means is a lot of times the challenges are pretty complex. We don't have simple solutions that are just going to hit and fix it in under 30 seconds. I hope I did not disappoint you there. That does not mean you can't handle things quickly. It does not mean there aren't tools that can work that fast. But overall, when you have some of these bigger challenges or a big issue, perhaps it's financial, perhaps it's a job loss, perhaps it's a new job, and you're just scared on both ends, it's going to take some time. And you can see that. It'll take some time to get comfortable. It'll take time to get comfortable as you leave some of your challenges behind and go out into the world and interact more. I certainly found that to be a challenge I did not expect. Because before, a lot of times with depression and anxiety, we isolate, and I isolated. I would definitely not engage in a lot of activities. Certainly didn't even want to do things online a lot of times. And I limited until my circle grew smaller and smaller for day-to-day things. Today, it keeps expanding. I keep meeting people in different situations. I keep talking to a lot more people. But again, that will bring some more challenges, but they're coming from a good reason. So again, always remember to think big picture in this case, because again, it's those little challenges, but we're building this big base. Now, one of the last things we can do here is I'm going to remind you of, so we have that base we're building. I want to give you one of the mindset rules. that'll help you with this. So mindset rule number 9. And it's very simple. So you don't even need a pen to write this down. It's called micro steps. And I put this in as one of the first 10 mindset rules I used and needed to remind myself of for part of the mental health warrior. Now, before we talk about that, while it's small and short, it's like rule number 1, which you may have heard me talk about before, which is the DUH rule. It says make your mental health a priority each day. Now, I let that sit in and I even paused because you finally looking or thinking, hearing me talking, you're saying, well, of course, your program's mental health warrior. But when life gets busy, when challenges come piling in, or you're in the midst of doing things, it's very easy to forget to take care of our mental health and give ourselves time to process our emotions. Just like it's really easy to do that list and say, Bruce, you just had, 48 challenges, because just messed up the other minute. And I had 48 challenges. Boy, your life is not going well. But I need to step back and I need to remind myself, look at the big picture. I handled 48 challenges. I made sure to take some time each day to process my emotions, good and bad. That's the point too. And that brings us to the tool you can walk away and use today, which is number 9, micro steps. It kind of fits in what we're talking about because each little step we take in order to change our lives, we need to take 1,000,000 little steps. Not to overwhelm you, but let's just say 1,000,000 little steps. But we take them each day, and we take them consistently. We keep working on them. We keep moving forward and adding them up. And the reason being is we break things down into those small parts. It's a lot more manageable. It's a lot easier, in this case, for Bruce to deal with changing his socks and cleaning up after the cat and moving on with the morning and not ruining his whole day. Again, a corny example, but it's real. It's also a lot easier to reschedule an appointment or go back when something else occurs through no fault of your own when you remember we're taking things in micro steps. On the flip side, what micro steps allow you to do is to build up that list like I did and look this morning, and you're going to do, I know, is just take those last couple of days and think of the sheer number of small little things you've triumphed over, the challenges, the situations you've been in where you walked away and said, I did a good job. I managed those challenges. And just like me, you will be amazed at the number because, again, at a high level, we're going to look at that and say, wow, that is so different today than I was last week, last year, or quite a while ago in my case, which is fantastic because it shows that improvement and it shows how to continue. So I hope you got really excited with some of this neat talk about how do we handle big mental health challenges. And it's the neat mental health warrior way by handling the small challenges and building that foundation. Now, to learn more about the whole Mental Health Warrior program and to learn about some of these tools I was talking about, go to bruceshooter.com. Or again, like I always like to tell people, type in Mental Health Warrior program on Google. Type in Bruce Shooter on Google. Type those in, find our website. And when you do, you'll see all the resources. Now, you'll see there's all of the books and the different tools, including the blueprint book, I call it, which is the Triumph book that I wrote. It's the book I triumphed over bipolar, alcoholism, and anxiety disorders by becoming a mental health warrior, which tells you my story, good and bad, and shows you what can be done, and it also gives you that blueprint for getting started in your life. You'll find other things like the Mental Health Warrior Challenge coin, which is a physical thing you can carry with you to remind yourself every day through all those, in my case, 48 challenges in the last couple of days or last week or two. I had that with me every day to remind me I can triumph. I have the power. There's also out on the website a free book, and it will outline some of what we talked about, like the 4 warrior components. Think of it as a Cliff Notes guide to being a warrior. It's enough to get you started without getting overwhelmed. But it is also on the website for free and ready to read on your device because it's an ebook. It's a PDF, and you can get started there. That's why I'm so excited today to talk to you guys. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, the power, I want to leave with this statement. So the power to change your life is within your grasp. The only question on the table is, are you going to use it? And the thing is, I know the answer is yes, and I know you'll say yes. So I'm excited to see you there at the BruceShooter.com Mental Health Warrior Program site. Go out and have a great day. We will talk with you more later. Bye. Bruce signing out.